Welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is Crime with Melvis, and if you are new to my channel, you are highly welcome. And just so you know, I upload on this channel videos based on true crime stories. In today's true crime story, we shall be traveling to the beautiful city of Port Harcourt in Nigeria to discuss the harrowing crimes of one of Nigeria's most notorious serial killer, Gracious David West. He was known for luring women into hotels, having fun with them, and end up savagely taking their lives. Without taking much of your time, get a seat, find something to sip, and a sweet journey on a free flight to Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Gracious David West was born in 1980. David reportedly had a tough childhood. Several individuals who knew the young man claimed that he really had a tough childhood. He was born into a polygamous home, and he happened to be the only child of his mother, and in addition to that, he was the only son of his father, meaning much was expected from him. David also claims that his mother was poisoned when he was still at a very tender age. He had not yet become a man or like independent, and his mother was poisoned. This was the reason why he left the rest of the family behind, traveled to Port Harcourt, where he began living on his own. It was probably at this time of his life that he began his criminal lifestyle. It is reported that David, even though he committed numerous crimes, he was a member of the Greenlanders gang, a popular gang in Nigeria. But during his convention, David will make it clear that he committed his crimes alone. His crimes had no connection with his gang. He just had this irresistible urge to kill. Each time he feels like taking a life of a lady, he just have to lure a lady into a hotel, and after having a nice time, having foods and drinks, she would just get up in the middle of the night, kill this lady. Before he does that, he collects their ATM cards, their pins, so he can just kill them, go to these ATM machines and withdraw all of their money, according to David. When middle-aged Maureen Ewuro, an indigene of Abia State, was found strangled in a hotel in D-Line, Port Harcourt, Rivers State on August 1st, it passed to many, it was like a sexual affair that has gone wrong, that is really just popular in our society today. 2 weeks later, another lady was found dead in a similar circumstance in another hotel room, and this was in a government residential area in Port Harcourt. Both incidents were so similar to another that had previously occurred in Owerri, the capital city of neighboring Imo State. And this left many citizens of Port Harcourt or indigenes of Port Harcourt agitated. They were so scared if there was a serial killer on the rampage. Having this death in similar fashion was some kind of very suspicious, because according to reports, David would take his victims into the hotel, have a nice time with them. They will even go as far as having food and having a nice time, and when they go to sleep, that is when David, who had entered the hotel previously with a knife and hid it under the pillow, it was at that point that he was going to wake up, threaten the victims with a knife, making sure he tells them that if they scream, he was going to stab them with the knife. And when he has succeeded in putting that like fear in his victim, he then proceeded to like use the knife to tear or to pieces the hotel pillowcase, where he used it to make twines that he will use to tie the victim's hands, legs, and gag their mouth so they couldn't scream. So when he has done that, he will then proceed to ask for their ATM cards, steal valuable jewelries from them, and then when he is done taking the ATM and their pins, he will now strangle them to death, and he fled the scene, rushed to a nearby ATM machine where he will quickly withdraw the cash. That was his pattern. Out of desperation, fear, and frustration, over 75 women groups in Rivers State, including the Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, and other National Association of Women and the Association of Journalists, marched through the streets of Port Harcourt on the 18th of September. They were so frustrated, they just needed answers. Even though they believed the law enforcement was doing their best, but their best was not good enough. It was really unheard of that 10 women will be found in a hotel within the span of 2 months, killed in similar fashion. This was not a case of ritual killing as it is common in that part of the world, but the fact that no organs were harvested, they would just, like, it was clear that someone was killing for pleasure, killing to satisfy his urges. Women and all those that took to the streets demanded the commissioner of police to maybe ask for an apology, because according to them, they felt like they were not doing a lot, because they thought most of those that were killed were actually prostitutes or sex workers, of which, to me, because that is what they do for living, shouldn't condemn. They need justice. They deserve justice. They are humans. Nobody has the right to take the lives of prostitutes or sex workers because they feel they are less worthy. That was really, really not right. And sadly, this is the sad reality of today. We see that most often when these sex workers get this kind of injustice, they never really take their cases serious, because they feel like their job or whatever they do is not what the society see as being responsible or having that sense of responsibility, which to me was wrong. They deserve justice, even if they were sex workers. And the truth of the matter is, not all of these 15 victims that David West killed were actually sex workers. They were equally students among his list, so they deserved justice. Even though parents were protesting on the street, they still took it upon themselves to reorientate their girls or their daughters, so they should be mindful of whoever they are meeting and avoid meeting strange men in hotels. That could really help in coping the death toll, because it was getting out of hands. By the 17th of September 2019, the police sealed 2 hotels where corpses of 2 of the slain women were found. When the police got frustrated and were so scared that the serial killer was on the loose and might get away with his crimes, they decided to summon all hotel owners around the neighborhood in a meeting and insisted that they should install CCTV cameras in all hotel rooms, hotel entrances, lobbies, and guest houses, just so to be able to see what is happening, who is going in, who is coming out, just in a bid to get more information, because it was like within 2 months, 8 women have been killed in hotels around the neighborhood, and in similar fashion, they were found gagged, their mouths were gagged, their hands and feet were tied, and they were strangled to death. This only meant one thing: this was being done by just a single person. It was never a coincidence. Town was boiling and everyone was so scared. David West was not ready to stop. On the 19th of September, David picked another lady. Hopefully, this was going to be his last victim. He lodged into a hotel, and lucky enough, the hotel had heed to the advice of the commissioner of police. They had installed CCTV cameras in and around the hotel, and shocking enough, this was one of the first time David West was going to use his real identity card to book a room in the hotel. When they got into the hotel, just moments later, the hotel managers could get screams from this hotel room, this particular hotel room. At first, he didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Of course, it was a man and a lady in a hotel room, but because the town was already boiling and everyone was just listening attentively for anything, because the whole town knew there was a serial killer on the rampage, he decided to approach the door. But the noise was coming from the washroom, and the male in the room was actually banging on the door, but the lady was in the washroom. When the manager rushed down back to the reception, got a spare key, came in and forced the door open. David West jumped and leaped out of the room and ran as fast as his legs could carry him. It was at this point that the lady narrated what had happened in the room and why she had to lock herself in the washroom and was screaming. She knew that the town, even though people had been advised not to be following strangers into hotel room, when she got into this hotel, everything seemed normal with David West. He had ordered for food, the two of them had eaten, he had promised he was going to pay her good money, and but one thing went off when David West went into the washroom, and this lady was about to maybe just have a nap or lay down on the bed when he noticed a very sharp knife under the pillow. It was at this point that he knew that this was not right. A knife in a hotel, and there has been recent killings. He calmly went into the washroom when David left the washroom, knowing that David knew that when the lady was done with her business in the washroom, she was going to come back to the hotel room where they will still spend time together before her time will be up in the middle of the night. So when she got into the washroom, it was at this point that she knew that she had to scream at the top of her voice so that she could be rescued. So thankfully, she was the last victim, and the hotel manager came to her rescue. A couple of days later, because the police had gotten a tip, they have the CCTV footage, and the lady in question that survived the whole ordeal was able to describe the man in question. The CCTV footage was very clear. The police knew they had their man, and all they needed to do was to track down this man in question. And just a few days later, David West, together with an accomplice, were arrested and were sent to jail without bond, while their case were due to be sent to court. On the 22nd of October 2019, David was charged to court for homicide, but it was again another frustration because his lawyer did not show up. So he actually slowed down it frustrated the judge, and the case couldn't continue because his lawyer didn't show up. So however, the case was again rescheduled for the next day, and David West pleaded guilty to 9 counts of murder. Surprisingly, he refused to take responsibility of the attempted murder of his last victim. The case was adjourned to the 18th, the 21st, 27th, and 29th of November through the 4th of December. The case, because it was adjourned during this period, David West was sent back to prison while they just reviewed the CCTV footage that was captured from the hotel that the last surviving victim ran from. In October 2020, David West was found guilty of murder and attempted murder and was sentenced to death by hanging by Justice Alfonso Enebeli. David West is currently sitting on death row waiting for his execution date. Thanks guys for hanging out with me today. My heart goes out to all the 15 victims. I tried so hard to get the names of these 15 victims, but I just couldn't get them, and it was said that some of them were really just abandoned. Some of them, their family members did not even know that they were dead. I know it is just so painful. No matter what you do in life, no matter the lifestyle you choose, nobody deserves to go the way some of these serial killers or some of people do treat ladies, or some of these people out there. They still deserve justice. I really tried so hard to get the names of the victims, but I just couldn't. My heart goes out to them, and I'm happy that justice was finally served, and I know that they are equally happy in the world beyond, and the family of those that lost their loved ones finally equally got some closures.